July 6th, 1928, midnight, Times Square, New York City. A crowd gathered outside the Strand Theater on 47th Broadway, not at a reasonable hour, not at but at midnight, because that's when Warner Brothers chose to premiere their newest picture. And when the lights went down and the first words came out of the screen, the audience heard something they had never heard before in a feature-length motion picture. Human beings talking for the entire film. No title cards, no silence, just voices. This is Lights of New York, the first ever all-talking feature film ever made. A scrappy, accidental, barely planned piece of cinema history that changed everything, and then was almost completely forgotten. Welcome to SL Tonight presents Deep Dive, Lights of New York. To understand what Lights of New York meant in 1928, you have to understand what movies were before it. For 30 years, from the first flickering Lumiere projections in 1895 all the way to 1927, cinema was silent. Not accidentally silent, deliberately silent. Audiences had built an entire visual language around it. Directors like D.W. Griffith, F.W. Murnau, and Buster Keaton had turned the absence of sound into an art form. The camera moved, the faces told everything. Title cards handled the dialogue when needed. It worked. The major studios, MGM, Paramount, Universal, were enormously profitable. Nobody wanted to upset the apple cart. When Western Electric developed a workable synchronized sound system in the early 1920s and tried to sell it to Hollywood, every major studio turned it down. They weren't interested. The technology had been tried before and always failed. Then there was Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers in 1927 was not the studio powerhouse it would become. It was the scrappy underdog, ambitious, cash-strapped, and willing to take risks the bigger studios wouldn't touch. When Sam Warner convinced his brothers to license Western Electric's Vitaphone system, Harry Warner's famous response was reportedly, "Who wants to hear actors talk?" The answer, it turned out, was everyone. Warner's first Vitaphone release was Don Juan in 1926, a silent picture with a pre-recorded synchronized orchestral score. No dialogue, just music and sound effects. It was a sensation in properly wired theaters and proved audiences would respond to synchronized sound. Then came October 6, 1927, The Jazz Singer. Al Jolson on screen singing, and then, almost accidentally, turning to the audience and delivering a few lines of spoken dialogue between the musical numbers. The theater erupted. It wasn't really a talking picture. It was mostly silent with brief synchronized sound sequences. But those moments of spontaneous living speech made audiences feel something they never felt before in a movie theater. Warner Brothers had opened a door they could not close. The question now was, what came next?
Somebody always did. Closed up for the night, Gene?
Yep. And for all the business I did, I might as well have been closed up all day.
Here is where the story Lights of New York gets genuinely strange. Because this film, which would become one of the most important in cinema history, was not supposed to exist. After the success of The Jazz Singer, Warner Brothers wanted to follow up carefully. Their Vitaphone sound on disc technology was still temperamental. Audio was recorded on large phonograph discs that had to play in perfect synchronization with the film. If the needle skipped, if the projector ran slightly fast or slow, the whole thing fell apart. The studio was not yet confident the system could carry an entire feature's worth of dialogue. They decided their proper, all-talking prestige picture would come later, once the technology was more reliable. In the meantime, they assigned director Brian Foy to make a two-reel short, roughly 20 minutes, using the Vitaphone process for a small, dramatic story. Nothing fancy. Budget, $12,000. Shooting schedule, 7 days, a modest test run. There was just one problem. Harry and Jack Warner were out of the country overseeing the European premiere of The Jazz Singer when production began, and Brian Foy kept shooting. Day by day, Foy and his crew quietly elaborated the story, added scenes, extended the running time. 7 days of shooting became 8. 2 reels short became 3 reels, then 4, then 5, then 6, then 7 reels. 47 minutes, a full feature-length motion picture with synchronized dialogue from the opening scene to the closing fade. When Jack Warner found out, he was reportedly furious. He had never authorized a feature, but by then it was done. The footage existed, and the studio had a decision to make. They released it, and it made over $1 million.
How are you, Mr.
Now, never mind that Mr. stuff. Just call me Gene.
All right, Gene. Let me have a blank check, will you?
Why, sure. Never mind that check, Dan. Give it to me tomorrow.
This fella's pretty lucky. Beat me for 400 at rummy again.
$400 for rummy?
He took me for 600 yesterday.
Gee whiz. Many's the time he took me for plenty.
Well, Gene, we just came down to say goodbye. We're leaving for New York in the morning.
Yeah, you are?
Yes.
Got to get back to the big town on some business. Tomorrow, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what about that proposition we were talking over? Don't we get in on that? Afraid it's too much for you, Gene. I think you better let it go. Oh, no,
Let's pause here and talk about the Vitaphone actually was, because it shaped everything about how Lights of New York look and sound, and it explains why the film moves the way it does. Vitaphone was a sound on disc system. That means the audio track was not recorded onto the film itself. Instead, it was recorded onto large 16-inch phonograph discs, a disc per reel of film, that were played on a turntable linked mechanically to the projector. When the film ran, the disc ran. In theory, they stayed in perfect sync. In practice, this was extremely fragile. If the film broke and was repaired incorrectly, even by a single frame, the sync drift. If the needle hit a scratch on the disc, you got silence or a pop in the middle of a dialogue. Projectionists across the country learned to be very, very careful. For the actors and crew on set, Vitaphone created enormous constraints. Early microphones were stationary and extremely sensitive. They picked up everything within their range, including the camera. So the cameras, which were notoriously loud in this era, had to be completely enclosed in thick, soundproof booths with small glass windows to shoot through. The camera couldn't move. The operators were essentially imprisoned inside these booths for the duration of every take. The microphones were hidden. In Lights in New York, they were concealed inside telephone receivers, behind flower arrangements, underneath furniture, anywhere they could be placed without appearing on screen. This meant the actors had to know exactly where each microphone was and position themselves close enough to it while still appearing to be performing naturally. Sound engineer George Groves, who recorded Lights in New York, later described the film as the first feature to completely immobilize both the camera and the actors. The actors couldn't cross the room freely. The camera couldn't allow them. Every scene was essentially staged like a one-act play, with the players arranged around fixed points on the set that happened to be close to hidden microphones. You can see all of this in the finished film. Scenes have a theatrical stillness. Characters stand and deliver their lines with careful precision. The camera watches from one position. Movement is minimal. And yet, when those characters open their mouths, when real human voices filled the theater, audiences in 1928 did not care about any of that. They were too busy experiencing a miracle.
Anxious to do something big, but I'd loan you the money in a moment.
So, what is Lights of New York actually about? The story is a Prohibition-era crime drama, simple, efficient, and surprisingly modern in its bones. Two young men from a small upstate town, Eddie Morgan, played by Cullen Landis, and his friend Gene, played by Eugene Pallett, are small-town barbers with big city dreams. When a pair of small-talking city men offer them a chance to buy into a barbershop on Broadway, Eddie borrows everything his mother has saved, and the two of them head to New York. What they don't know, and find out almost immediately, is that the barber shop is a front. Behind the legitimate business is a speakeasy run by a dangerous gangster known as the Hawk, played by Wheeler Oak. The Hawk and his associates are running illegal liquor right through Eddie and Gene's shop, and by the time the boys understand what they've walked into, they're in too deep to walk away. The love interest is Kitty, played by Helena Costello, a young woman caught between her loyalty to the Hawks operation and her feelings for Eddie. There's a nightclub singer, a crooked cop on the payroll, Eddie's horrified mother who arrives to see what has become of her savings, and a murder that Eddie gets framed for. It's a tight, mean little crime story that contains something genuinely important: the template. This film, made in 1928, established many of the visual and verbal conventions that would define the Hollywood gangster film throughout the 1930s. The speakeasy setting, the tough boss giving orders to expendable henchmen, the innocent man framed, the loyal woman, the final reckoning. All of it is here, delivered with the blunt autonomy of a studio picture that knew exactly what it was and had no time to waste. The New York Times reviewer, famously unimpressed, called the plot crude in the extreme. He was not wrong. He was also spectacularly missing the point.
East side of the Chinese den. $1, folks.
Well, where'll we go?
I tell you, let's go upstairs to the Royal Cafe. Charles White lives up there.
Okay, baby. I got the old flat.
Tonight for all the big show hits in town. Theater tickets. This is where we sell them inside. Step right in. Theater tickets. This is where we sell them. Get on the best seats for the big show.
Pardon me, officer, but could you tell me where the other side of the street is?
Why, it's right over there.
That's strange. The fellow over there told me it was over here.
Come on, run along now before I...
We need to talk about one specific moment in Lights of New York, because it may be the most quoted line in the entire history of early sound cinema. Midway through the film, Wheeler Oakman, as the Hawk, turns to his henchman and, with the careful, deliberate over-enunciation required by the early microphone technology, gives the order: "Take him for a ride." Today, that phrase is a cliche. We've heard it 1,000 times in movies, television shows, parodies. It's shorthand for organized crime itself. In 1928, nobody had heard it before. Not on screen, not delivered by a human voice through a theater speakers. The line landed like a thunderbolt. Critics who were otherwise dismissive of the film noted the menacing weight of that delivery. Here was a man ordering murder, out loud with his actual voice, and the effect was something no title card had ever achieved. The voice added a dimension of threat that silent cinema simply could not replicate. You could hear the coldness in it. Oakman's delivery was partly the result of the microphone constraints, speaking slowly and clearly so every word registered cleanly on the disc. But the unintended consequence was a menace that felt genuine and chilling. The technical limitation became an artistic quality. The phrase entered the American vernacular almost immediately. Within a year, it was being used in newspapers and other films and everyday slang. It is, in its way, the first iconic line of the sound era. It came from a film most people have never seen.
Gentlemen.
Yeah, we went into it too quickly.
There comes those two fine gentlemen now.
Look out they don't steal your watch.
And how are the little Tonsorial brothers today? Great.
The talkie revolution was kind to some careers and brutal to others. Lights in New York illustrates both. Cullen Landis, who plays the hero Eddie, was a reliable leading man of the silent era. Handsome, capable, popular enough. Sound did not help him. His voice was fine, but he never transitioned effectively to the new Hollywood order. Within a few years of Lights in New York, his starring career was essentially over. Helena Costello, who plays Kitty, had a similar trajectory. She was one of the most promising young actresses in Warner Brothers' stable in the late silent era. Sound exposed the limitation of her training, and she struggled to find substantial roles in the years that followed. She died in 1957 at 50, having been largely absent from film for 2 decades. The story was common. Dozens of silent film stars, people at the absolute peak of their fame and earning power in 1927, found themselves unemployable within 3 years. Accents that were charming in person became problems on screen. Voices that projected well on stage didn't record well on early microphones. Some stars took voice lessons and survived. Many did not. The tragic irony of Lights of New York is that the two people most responsible for its historical significance, Landis and Costello, were themselves casualties of the revolution they helped launch. The two performers who came out of the film best were on the supporting end. Eugene Pallett, who played the comic friend Gene, had a long and successful sound career, his distinctively gravelly bass voice becoming one of the most recognizable in Hollywood through the 1930s and 40s. And Wheeler Oakman, despite playing the villain, gave the film's most memorable performance. His career continued steadily in character parts for years. Gladys Brockwell, who played the duplicitous Molly, also delivered what several critics noted was the film's most naturalistic performance. She died in a car accident in 1929, just a year after the film's release, cutting short a career that might have flourished in the sound era.
Oh, I know it, darling. And I am going to quit. And when I do, you quit that nightclub, too.
Oh, you're right. I don't want to work there any longer than I have to. Oh, you know, Hawk Miller's always hanging around me.
Hawk Miller? Hawk Miller likes me. He's my friend. And besides, he knows that you're my girl.
And then there is Brian Foy, possibly the most interesting figure in this entire story. Foy was born in Chicago in 1896, the oldest of 7 children belonging to Eddie Foy, one of the most famous vaudeville performers in America. The 7 Little Foys, as the act was known, toured the country for a decade with their father Brian at the head of the line, performing since he was a small child. He had seen the Chicago Iroquois Theater fire of 1903 as a 7-year-old. 602 people died in that blaze, and he had watched his father urge the panicked audience to stay calm from the stage. He came from entertainment in the most direct possible way. When the vaudeville era faded, Foy went to Hollywood and spent time writing gags for Buster Keaton before landing at Warner Brothers in 1927. The decision to keep shooting Lights in New York beyond its authorized 2-reel scope was, by multiple accounts, partly Foy's intuitive and partly the natural momentum of a production that kept finding more story to tell. Foy later described it somewhat modestly. He hadn't set out to make history, he just kept going. When Jack Warner discovered what had happened, the argument was reportedly significant. But the film made its money back many times over, and the argument became irrelevant. Foy's reward was promotion to head of Warner Brothers' B-Picture unit, where he earned the nickname Keeper of the Bees, and proceeded to make as many 26 pictures a year for the next 2 decades. His name is on over 200 films. His legacy is the entire infrastructure of the Hollywood B-movie, efficient, fast, economical pictures that kept theaters stocked and audiences entertained. He never directed anything as historically significant as Lights in New York again. He never needed to. He already changed the world, accidentally, in 8 days.
Say, Bob, I want you to be very careful who you let in here tonight. Make sure that everybody has a card. Don't worry, Hawk. Leave it to me.
Let's talk about money for a moment, because the financial story of Lights in New York is staggering. The film cost, depending on the source, somewhere between $12,000 and $23,000 to produce. The discrepancy likely reflects the difference between the original authorized short film budget and the final cost of the expanded feature. Either way, under $25,000. It grossed over $1 million at the box office. In 1928, $1 million was almost an incomprehensible sum for a motion picture return. For context, this was a Warner Brother B picture shot in 8 days on a shoestring budget with no major stars, an unproven director, and technology that the studio itself wasn't sure would work. It outgrossed dozens of pictures with 10 times its budget. The message was unambiguous. The New York Times could call the plot crude. Other critics could debate the quality of the acting. None of it mattered. Audiences were not paying to see a well-crafted story. They were paying to hear human voices come out of the screen. The spectacle of sound itself was the attraction, and Lights of New York delivered it without compromise. The studio system took note. By end of 1929, barely a year after Lights of New York premiered, Hollywood was producing sound films exclusively. The entire infrastructure of silent cinema, built over 30 years, was dismantled in roughly 18 months. Studios converted their sound stages. Projectionists learned new equipment. Theater owners rewired their buildings at enormous expense. It all began with a two-reel short that kept growing.
You know, someday I'm going to have a
The
nightclub.
talkie revolution is often told as a triumphant story, new technology, bigger audiences, better movies, and it was all of those things. It was also a catastrophe for hundreds of people. Actors who had spent their entire careers mastering the physical language of silent performance suddenly needed to master a completely different discipline. Voice, diction, the ability to deliver dialogue convincingly while standing very still near a hidden microphone. For many of the biggest stars in Hollywood, people earning fortunes, people whose faces were on the cover of fan magazines, people worshipped by millions, sound was the end. The technical staff suffered too. Silent film cinematographers used to mobile cameras and expressive lighting now found themselves locked in soundproof booths, unable to move. The visual grammar of silent cinema, the tracking shots, the close-ups timed to music, the fluid language of the camera was largely abandoned in the first wave of talkies. Early sound films looked visually like a step backward, because they were. The microphone had enslaved the camera. The directors who had developed sophisticated visual storytelling techniques had to start over, learning to work within the constraints of static cameras and stationary microphones. Some adapted brilliantly. Others never recovered their footing. The musicians suffered perhaps most immediately. Every major theater in America had employed live musicians, pianists, small orchestras, full ensembles to accompany silent pictures. Within 2 years of the jazz singer, tens of thousands of theater musicians were unemployed. Their jobs had been replaced by a phonograph disc. Lights in New York sits at the precise beginning of all this disruption. Every consequence of the sound revolution, the careers ended, the careers launched, the art form transformed. Flows from the moment the audience at the Strand Theater heard Wheeler Oakman tell his men to take someone for a ride. So why don't more people know this film? The jazz singer gets the credit. It always has. Ask anyone what the first talking picture was and they'll say, The Jazz Singer, and they'll be partially right. The Jazz Singer was the first feature with synchronized spoken dialogue sequences. It was the first film that broke the dam. The cultural footprint of Al Jolson singing Mammy is enormous and fully deserved. But The Jazz Singer is not an all-talking picture. It's mostly silent. The talking sequences are brief, spontaneous moments inserted into what is otherwise a conventionally silent film with synchronized musical accompaniment. Lights in New York is the film where every single scene has synchronized dialogue, where there is no silent section, where the full commitment to the talking picture was made and sustained for an entire feature. That distinction belongs here and has largely been lost. Part of the reason is quality. Lights in New York is not a masterpiece. The story is thin, the performance is stiff. The camera locked into place. It's easy to dismiss it. Critics in 1928 dismissed it, and critics since have often done the same. But dismissing a film for not being a masterpiece when its actual contribution is something else entirely is a category error. You don't evaluate the Wright brothers' first flight by the standards of a commercial airline. You evaluate it by the fact that it flew. Lights of New York flew, imperfectly, awkwardly, on a shoestring, by accident, but it flew. And when it landed, Hollywood was never the same. The film is public domain. You can watch it for free, right now, at the Internet Archive, on YouTube, on any number of streaming platforms. The full picture, uncut, 57 minutes, the voices in 1928, still speaking.
Here comes a hawk.
And you can also go back and watch my crappy cut that I did whenever I first started doing these things and tried to make my own little edit. And that's still there too. Which the title card is the actual one that I used for that on the second title card. Either way, enjoy.
Say, listen, Hawk. I don't.
Lights of New York, 1928, directed by Brian Ford, starring Colin Landis and Helen Costello. Helena Costello, the first all-talking feature-length motion picture in history. Made for less than $25,000 by a vaudeville kid who kept rolling the camera when the bosses weren't watching. Premiering at midnight in Times Square, grossing $1 million, ending the silent era. Flawed, stiff, historically irreplaceable. If you've been sleeping on this one, now you know. Drop your thoughts in the comment. If this deep dive did it for you, hit that button and subscribe. There's a whole archive of forgotten cinema waiting, and we're going to dig up every piece of it. Until next time, stay sharp, stay curious, and keep the lights on. This has been Felix Lebeski on SL Tonight Presents.
Why, you poor crumb.
Good night.
You're scared. You're afraid to take a chance.
Why don't you take it?
You take it, Sam. This guy's got a streak of yellow a yard wide.
Me? No, not me. Why don't you take it? Take it yourself. You know, when it comes right down to it, you killed the cops, you know. We didn't have anything to do with it, did we?
Shut up, will you? Will you pin those lips together and quit making those cracks about who bumped him off?
Well,
Get you guys a couple of megaphones. Hey, it's Eddie Morgan outside. Does that give you babies any ideas?
no, but it might give you an idea.
Yeah? Why?
Well, you know, Eddie runs that joint over on 46th Street. You know that.
And he's got a chicken that ain't so bad either. Maybe you could kill two birds with one stone.
Why, what do you mean, Tommy? Now, you don't think for a minute that I would frame Eddie, do you?
No. You wouldn't frame anybody, Hawks. No, not you. It's a mistake.
Well, there's an idea there. If they find the goods here, it'll go pretty hard with you, Hawk.
Yeah, and it won't go so easy for you two guys either. Now, listen. If they grab Eddie, we can help him if we're on the outside, can't we?
Sure, we could do that, yeah.
You're always a great guy for fixing things, Hawk. Supposing you do it.
Yeah, you better leave it to me.
Yeah, we'll leave it to you. We'll leave it right to you.
You guys make a sneak. I think I got an idea. But don't leave town.
Don't leave town? Why not?
Well, it might look bad.
Well, all right, we'll just hang around the joint, huh?
If you see Eddie Morgan out there, tell him I want to see him.
All right.
Hey, Eddie. The Hawk wants you in the office. I'll see him a little bit later. Look, Eddie, you better go in now. He wants to see you right away. All right.
Hello, Hawk. Did you want to see me?
Yeah. Hi, Eddie. Come on inside.
What's on your mind?
Oh, nothing in particular. How's everything over the shop? All right?
Just fair. You know how it is.
I'll tell you what I want to see about, Eddie. I just got a tip from headquarters that I might be raided by federal men.
Oh.
And I was wondering if you wouldn't mind a few cases for me for a few hours. Till it blows over.
Why, certainly. Why not? Where is it?
Right here. There are only a few cases. Where's your car?
Right outside.
Good.
Oh, I see. I'll take it over right now.
That's a good idea. Take it out the back way. Here's the key. I certainly appreciate this, Eddie.
Anytime at all, Hawk.
Thanks. Wait a minute, Kitty. I want to see you for a minute.
But please, Mr. Miller, I have to hurry.
Why the Mr. stuff, Kitty? Why, you're the coldest proposition I ever met. Why the icicles? Well, you ought to know that high-hat stuff will never get you any place with me.
But I'm not trying to high-hat you, Mr. Miller. But I have to make another number.
Wait a minute, Kitty. I want to tip you off to something. Now, you're running around with that sap Eddie Morgan and wasting your time. What can he do for you? A planking bootlegger. Who was it that took you out of the chorus, huh? Me, wasn't it? Who was it that gave you a chance to lead numbers? Me. Why, I can set you in a big show. Get you anything. And you run around with a baloney like that, Sim. Come on inside and sit down, huh?
Oh, I can't. I have to hurry.
Will you be back?
I'll try. Wait a minute, Hawk. You're a hound for chicken, ain't you?
Well, what do you want?
Nothing much. Only this. That kid don't want any part of you.
Hey, you mind your own business, will you? I'll take care of that kid.
So I see. But I'm warning you to stay off.
Yeah? Why?
Oh, I'm just warning you, that's all. You might get indigestion from too much chicken.
Well, if I get indigestion, it won't be from an old hen.
Wait a minute. You didn't say that when you wanted the money to run this joint. You didn't say that when you wanted me to stick by you through all the tough times.
Oh, save that gab, will you? Why don't you get yourself a tambourine and go out on the corner and peddle your blues?
You be careful that you're not singing the blues, Hawk. You think you can pick any chicken you want and throw me back in the deck. But you can't do it. It ain't lucky.
Who said so?
I said so.
Yeah? Well, you said too much. Now you understand? We're through. I'm sick and tired of you sitting around this joint day in and day out, staring and watching every move I make. Now you beat it. I have important business to attend to.
So have I.
comes 2 cops. You better duck.
Hello, boys. How are you? Sit down. Have a cigar. Well, what's on your mind, boys?
Plenty. You heard about Tam Kerwin being bumped off, of course.
I certainly did. There's an extra out about it. Did you land the guy that did it?
No, but we will, Hawk.
Well, I hope so. It's pretty tough when a cop is bumped off. They're my best friends.
Yes, and it's going to be tough on the guy who did it.
Well, I hope you get the dirty rat. Got any ideas?
No. Have you?
Me? Why, what ideas would I have about a job like that?
I was thinking you might know something. And if you do know, it would be a good idea to talk.
Well, I ain't got nothing to say.
Well, I have. This killing was a bootleg job, and it concerns liquor. Until we know who killed that cop, we're going to close every joint. Yes, this one first.
Gee, that's pretty tough, boys. Well, I'd like to help you. You got any clues?
Nothing much. The stuff they was after was old century. I haven't seen any before this job in 2 years.
Old century.
Yeah. There was a few cases missing. The ones that did the job took some of the stuff. See any around?
Why, boys, what's the matter? Surely you don't think that I would have any stuff like that lying around or any other stuff.
We're not thinking anything, Hawk. But it's about time you began thinking. You probably could tell us plenty. So open your trap and say something.
Boys, you know I'm not a squealer, don't you? You know I've always been on the up and up, don't you? Why, I wouldn't hurt a pal for the world. But when it comes to killing a cop, I'm against it.
Well, come on.
You say the guy that did the job got away with some cases of old century.
Yes.
Well, I might be able to help you. I think I got a clue.
Where? Who?
I can't say just now, but you know where the White Way barber shop is, don't you?
Over on 46th Street?
Right. Well, you be there at 10 o'clock, and I might show you something interesting. Get me?
Highway Barber Shop at 10 o'clock, huh?
Right. Hey, the cops were just here.
Yeah, I know they were. We saw them. What do they want?
Crosby knows something.
He does?
Yes. Sit down. Now, we've got to cover ourselves up. I've planted the stuff in Eddie's shop,
Yeah?
and the Dicks will be there at 10 o'clock.
Uh-huh.
But they must not find Eddie.
What do you want us to do?
I want you guys to make him disappear.
Disappear?
Well, certainly. If they don't find him, it will cinch everything for us. Don't you understand?
What, you mean...
Take him for a ride.
Oh.
.424 Bryant. No, operator, 424. Yes. Hello? Hello, is Eddie there? Bring him to the phone quick. This is Kitty. Yes. Hello, Eddie? Listen, the Hawk framed you. Oh, I'm telling you he did. I heard him. Yes. Crosby and Collins are coming down to the barber shop at 10 o'clock. Yes. Oh, listen to me, Eddie, please.
Hello, Gene.
Hello, Hawk.
Where's Eddie?
Well, he was here a while ago. He went out with a couple of guys.
Couple of guys, eh?
Yeah, 2 of them.
Well, I think I'll stick around a while.
All right, Hawk. Make yourself at home. Have you lamped that new police gazette yet? Get a load of that 3rd page. Not bad, eh?
Hello, Eddie.
Hello, Hawk.
Did you get the stuff down all right?
Certainly. Everything's Jake? Why?
Oh, nothing. Just want to make sure that you had it, that's all.
That ain't all, Hawk. You thought you'd put something over on me, didn't you?
Why, what do you mean? Why, you're all excited about nothing. You ought to know me better than that, old pal. Haven't I always been on the up and up with you? Why, I can't understand what you mean.
I mean just this. You tried to frame me. You knew the cops were looking for Old Century. That's the reason you wanted me to plant it in this joint.
Now, don't get excited. Don't get excited. Why, somebody must be kidding you.
Yeah? Well, that may be so. It may not be so. But I protected myself.
You what? You got the stuff, didn't you?
I told you yes. But when the cops get here...
Cops? Now, who said anything about cops?
They don't try to pull that on me. You know the Dicks will be here at 10 o'clock.
Oh, you're crazy.
Yeah, well, maybe I am and maybe I'm not. That doesn't make any difference. I'm just crazy enough to know that you're the guy that bumped off that cop.
Why, you poor chump, you're hooked. Yes, and you're hooked good. Because when the Dicks get here and find the stuff, they'll grab you. And I'll grab Kitty.
Don't make me that. They'll take nobody but you. Because Kitty quit your joint tonight, and I dumped the stuff in the river. What do you think of that?
Why, you can't get away with that stuff where you haven't got a chance.
Eddie?
Somebody shot the hawk.
Who did it?
I don't know. It came from back there. Listen, we got to get him out of here. I tell you, I'll put him in my car and dump him along the road someplace. Pick him up.
All right. Give me a hand, Eddie.
It's too late.
What do we do?
I don't know. Here, put him in that chair. Got him?
Slip him up.
Listen,
Yeah?
stall as long as you can. I've got to make a getaway.
Okay.
My next?
Well, yes, sir. But, you'll have to wait. I just started on this gentleman.
All right, I'll wait.
You see, he wants some massage, too.
I'll wait.
All right. Yes, sir. That was certainly a great game. Made 2 runs in the 9th inning. Made the score 2-1. Great game tomorrow, too. That's all right, old man. Go ahead and sleep. I'll wake you up when I'm through with you.
It's Hawk Miller.
He's dead.
What is it? What is this?
I don't know.
That's what they all say. You better speak up and save yourself a lot of grief. How did it happen?
Well, all I know, Eddie and me was in here talking, and the Hawk comes in. There was a lot of conversation about old Century. And then the Hawk makes a crack about Eddie's dame, Kitty. And the Hawk goes for his rod, and then he got shot.
By Eddie?
Oh, I don't know who done it, but it wasn't Eddie.
Eddie Morgan did it, and you know he did it. Where is he?
I don't know.
Where is he?
Oh, he went out that door.
Collins, take charge. I'll grab this guy, Eddie, before he knows where he stands.
Well, listen, Chief, honest to God, I don't know who croaked.
Oh, listen.
I wasn't in on the play. I don't know nothing.
Well, what are you squawking about? Everything will be all right.
I know.
Calm yourself.
Kitty, we've got to get out of here now, quickly. Pack up the things and let's go.
I know. Aunt Miller.
How do you know?
What's your hurry? You're not going anywhere. Well, Eddie, looks like I caught up with you, don't it?
What do you want with me, Mr. Crosby? I haven't done nothing.
Of course you haven't. You must take me for an awful boob. I just left your barber shop. Hawk Miller is dead. He was killed with this. Come on. Let's go.
Oh, no. Don't take him. He didn't do it. Honest, he didn't do it.
No? Then who did?
Why?
Keep quiet, Kitty.
She doesn't have to say anything. Neither do you. I got proof enough to send you to the chair. Come on. Both of you.
Wait a minute, Crosby. You've got the wrong people.
What do you mean?
I mean, they've got nothing to do with the killing of Hawk Miller.
How do you know?
I guess I'm the one person who ought to know because I did it.
You? I don't believe it. He was your man, wasn't he?
Yes. He was my man. But no, I loved him. But I couldn't stand his loving somebody else. When he told me he was through with me, I made up my mind he was through with all women. So when Kitty here was doing her number, I went to her dressing room and took a gun and followed him to the barber shop. Then I heard him tell Eddie he was going to kill him and take his girl. Oh, I must have gone mad. I was jealous. I was crazy. I killed him. He was no good. But I loved him. Well, he's gone now. So I can tell you without double-crossing him. He was the one who killed the policeman, Tom Merton.
He did?
He did. Well, that's all. Come on, let's get it over with. I'm not afraid. I've lived, and I've loved, and I've lost.
Molly, you're all right. You certainly saved these kids. You both will take my tip and get out of this city. Don't you see how close you've been to tragedy? Get out. Take a train to the country where there's trees and flowers and mountains. Leave the roaring 40s to roar without.
You're right, Mr. Crosby. We're going to leave the first chance we get. We've made our minds up. We want to do right for each other and everyone else. There's no luck in anything else.
Right. Come on, Molly. I don't think it's going to be so tough for you. There was a reward for the killer, dead or alive. Besides, you've saved the state a lot of expense, the cost of an electrocution. I'm going to see that you get a break. And I don't think you've got much to worry about. Don't forget the train to the country.
Train? Honey, we'll fly.